This week on Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. Oh, wait a second. Hello.
Hey, Ed, it's Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. How you doing?
Good. I think we should start our show and take a look at all the new stuff that's based on old stuff. What do you think?
Sounds great. And welcome to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. I'm Ed Dollister.
I'm Mitch Halleck.
And this week we're going to be looking at retro collectibles that you can get today.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you and I talk about that we grew up with, let's just face it, we don't have it anymore. But unless you don't want to spend a small fortune, there's a lot of cool new toys and collectibles that are out there right now based on stuff that we used to play with, or maybe our grandparents played with, I don't know, as kids. So that's where you could save some money and still have some fun, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, nostalgia is big bucks nowadays. Okay. If you look at things like, Stranger Things, I'm thinking of Wonder Woman 84, all these shows and properties that harken back to time when the creators, who are probably our age, thinking about what it was like to be a kid back then. So it's really good if you want to find some, really, I suppose, obscure toys for that didn't come out back in the day that you can find today. So we've got a selection of our favorite top 10, I suppose, new old toys. But it was sort of this discussion was sort of spurred on by the recent Hasbro Pulse announcement of their new playset. Now, if you don't know Hasbro Pulse, they are I suppose they're like it's almost like an on-demand sort of offshoot of Hasbro where, if enough people back it or, decide to purchase a toy.
It's aimed at the collectors. It's a subset. Like, it's Hasbro Toys that made all the Star Wars toys, and G.I. Joe said, we're going to come out with like a little group, a club. Aimed at the hardcore collectors, like people like you and I, and they do produce stuff that they never did before, but it's not something I don't think the mass audience out there would go crazy about.
No, mainly because the price, I guess. The first thing that they produced Star Wars related was the amazing sail barge, which I think was going for about $500 I think.
We don't say that out loud at the Halleck house because I have one.
Oh.
I ordered it.
$27.95. So, yep.
Everything's $30, Ed.
Yeah, that's right.
But I got it on sale for $20.
Okay,
now that's a good you do bring up a point. They did start out with that toy, but it was almost like a GoFundMe project because they said if they reached so many orders, they would actually go ahead and do it. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll contribute. Yep. Never thinking that they would get to it because it was so big. This is a toy that's over, I think, 4 feet long or something. It's crazy. And it's Jabba's sail barge from Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And it has Jabba the Hutt, and it has some figures with it too, like
I think Yak Face. You get.
Yeah. So I donated, and I didn't think they were going to make it. And the story is, the day before it was supposed to end, they were still shy, I think, a couple hundred orders.
Yep.
And Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself, got on the campaign, and I think he tweeted out like, hey, let's back this and make it a reality.
Yes.
And everybody did. And then I was in New York City last year at a Comic-Con selling Terrificon tickets, and my wife called me up, and she was not happy, and she said, what in the hell is this giant 5-foot box? And I go, oh, that got there today? That was my response, because I thought it was going to get there Monday.
Yes.
Thanks, Postal Service. And yeah, it's amazing, but it's also the size of a small car. I own it, and right now it's in my storage unit. If I knew we were going to talk about it, I would have brought it down for the show. But it's at my storage unit off-site, and I haven't played with it. But it is going for a pretty penny right now. I think once it came out, people were piecing it apart like you do a lot.
Yes.
They took the individual figures out and the Jabba the Hutt and the sail barge, and they were selling it on eBay separately for well more than it should be, because you could have just done piecemeal and probably made yourself a tidy profit of about $2,000, or just sold it as is for about $1,500 the day it came out. So that $500 investment was already selling for $1,500.
Yeah, so that's good. But that's a bugbear of mine when people on eBay, as someone who likes to buy complete things, it really annoys me. Especially, I look for the Hot Toys. Often with the Hot Toys figures, there's a fantastic Christopher Reeve Superman hot toy, which I could have bought for $200 a long time ago. Said, oh, that's a bit much. They go for like $800 now. And but
really,
but what do people do? They have it, so they buy the costume, or they take his head off. And
I've always wondered that.
Or the base, and I think that's just a bit greedy, you know.
So they buy it for parts. It's like buying a brand new car and start taking it apart and selling it. Yeah.
It's like wasn't there a MASH episode where they were
Radar was mailing a Jeep home piece by piece.
That's right. So it's a little bit like that. I mean, I don't mind if Radar does it, but you know, that's for his mom. You know, he's going to take care of his mom on the farm.
She's going to drive home in a Jeep. Yeah.
That's right. So that sort of annoys me. Anyway, so that was fantastic. That was well out of the price for me. I mean, I think in Australia it was like in the
a small child. I think
it was a small child could fit in that thing. It could ride it around the house. And I suppose the thing is, when you think back to the 70s and 80s with Star Wars, and 80s with maybe like He-Man and G.I. Joe, one thing they had was their play sets, which were fantastic. I was never a G.I. Joe or
the Flagg. You're going to talk about the Flagg, aren't you?
Yes. I mean,
it was like 7 feet long. It was the fellow named Ming Chen, who's on the Comic Book Men show. He had one, and it was on their show too. I've seen it in person. I was too old for that when that came out, but it is literally 7 feet long. If you ever watch the show, I don't know if it's on there, called The Goldbergs. Lots of times in the back, it's set in the 80s, and they'll have set dressings. And sometimes they'll show their downstairs family room, and the USS Flagg is sitting in the background. It just must have bought it for a prop, but I just stare at it and go, look, there it is. I mean, it was, you could have fit jets on it and figures. I mean, it was crazy. The kids that got that for Christmas must have just been ecstatic.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was the size of a small room. I don't even know how mom or dad put it together, you know?
I got it! Wow!
Here it is, the USS Flagg aircraft carrier. Imagine being on the deck of this aircraft carrier.
The USS Flagg is fantastic! It's so big! Forward back! Little monsters! Get ready to launch aircraft! Where's the Admiral? Not here! G.I. Joe! Fire! He's got Cobra! Joe!
USS Flagg aircraft carrier comes with what you see here. Other figures and equipment sold separately.
It was fantastic. And I love that in those days, if you could get play sets, you could get action sets, and they sort of did that. Again, if I sort of knew what we were going to talk about, I would have brought mine. With the Power of the Force, they ended up bringing out some play sets. I've got, like, I did have the Endor play set. There was the detention level play set.
Detention blocks. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They even brought out a Bespin freezing chamber play set.
When?
They brought it out. It was, I'll put a picture up of it, but this would, I would dare say.
Wait a second. No, I thought they never made it originally, because I have one here. In fact, I have two, I think I bought years ago. Hasbro, when it was the Power of the Force out, they came out with that.
Yep.
And it was a little, because my son used to play with it. It had to be the early 2000s, and you would take your figures and you would put them in it, and it had like a gray carbonite block with a piece of cloth in it.
Or a rubber, that's right. So, and it came with a Bespin security guard, yes. So
that was based on an earlier toy?
No. But at least it sort of harkened back to, you know, that. And I suppose when you think about it, early 2000s, late 90s, that's now vintage. Anything 20 years or older is vintage.
That's scary thought. Yeah,
it is. Most of this room is, you know, what we've got in.
We belong in a museum, Ed.
We do.
No, so anyway, but speaking of carbon freeze chamber, I never knew that existed. I thought it was just a simple vinyl play set back in the 80s. I didn't think they actually made. Was there a way to lower Han into the carbonite?
I don't think there was. Now, I've got a feeling that they did have a Cloud City, like a play set, which was based on maybe Land of the Jawas, you know, with the cardboard.
Yeah.
I'll have
Maybe
a
it
look.
was the Ugnaughts, the little pig nose guys. Maybe they had a set. But anyway, speaking of Carbon Freeze Chamber and Hasbro Pulse, it's funny you mentioned that. This week, they just announced some new 40th anniversary Salute to the Empire Strikes Back, but they announced a Carbon Freeze Chamber, which actually looks like the set that was in the original Empire Strikes Back movie, and it comes in two pieces. One is just the staircase, and the other one has the actual Carbonite where you can lower Han into it and bring him up as a coffee table, like, you know. But I don't know about you, it was $50 for basically just a staircase and a couple
of spindly
pylons.
things.
I mean, it looked cool, and I guess it comes with the Stormtrooper figure, so that's about 10 or 12 bucks. It just looked pretty flimsy, that's all. I'm not saying it's terrible, but for $50 for one side, if you want to do the complete thing, it's another $50. So $100, you'll get two figures and two sets of stairs and basically a little tube that you can put your figure in. I don't know. It didn't seem. I would have given you maybe $40 for the whole thing.
Yeah, I like it, and I think if you want to display your figures on it, I think it'll look quite good. But I do agree that it would have been good to maybe if it was $75 and had both ends of it, so you could complete
or
it.
Something to wrap around the back of it that maybe could have had some artwork painted up like smoke.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, and the hanging tubes and things like that.
Yeah, and the tubes on it. When you remember the Carbon Freeze Chamber, I know the set itself, I've seen it lit, that's all it is two staircases. It's not really complicated.
I mean, the toy is pretty accurate. But
it is pretty accurate.
Does it actually come with a Han and Carbonite?
Yeah, it does. I saw the photo of a little block of it. So there's that, because I have so many Han and Carbonites, it's not funny. I have a small collection. I'm staring at one right now. I don't know. It is what it is. It's something I always wanted. As soon as I saw it, I got like excited, like, oh, they made that because it's the best scene in the movie. But again, the price point, I just kind of looked at it. And this is a guy who has a $500 sales barge, you know?
Yeah. And I suppose given that they recently released, after the sale barge, they brought out I think like Jabba's Palace. And I remember when we were in Hawaii.
No, I have that too.
Earlier this year, which comes with, does it come with
the
3
skiff
figures?
Guards? Yeah.
Or whatever. And it's got walls and everything like that. And I should have picked it up because here.
Well, you know what? Now you tell me, because that thing was marked down on clearance. That's when I picked it up. First, you couldn't get it.
Yes.
And then I went to the Walmart and they had like 4 of them and they were marked down to $10. And I picked it up and it comes with I think it came with 2. I haven't even opened it. I think there's 2 figures in it. And that's what was cool about it. But it's basically like the arch in Jabba's palace, like the wall, and I think there's like a tauntaun and something else on the wall. Yeah, and it was just a cool little set piece, like you said. If you had a Jabba the Hutt, you could put him there, and you could put that behind it and arrange all the figures if you want to make a little diorama type of thing. But
well, I was umming and we were in I think it was Walmart or Target.
It was a Walmart exclusive.
Yeah, with Alexander when we were in Hawaii, and I was umming and ahhing, and ultimately I didn't, because I think we didn't have enough luggage space. But I took a picture. I said, Kelly, hold this so I can take a picture of you so I remember that I never got it.
Well, if I ever bump into it again, because I have seen it the whole thing with the lockdown and the whole quarantine, nothing's moved in a lot of months.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of stuff has been sitting on the shelves somewhere. So who knows? I might see it somewhere. But it was definitely hard to get at first. It was going for $90 on eBay because it was a $40 toy.
Yes.
But after it hit the market, supply and demand took over, and it was available for about $10.
Yeah.
So.
Now to me, that's for $40, that seems quite reasonable, you know, for what it is.
Consider the figures are about $10 or $12 nowadays. Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, good on them for making that, and I'm sure people will love it. And I reckon if you could light it up. Maybe if it lit up, so that orange.
That's what I was thinking. If it had like an orange glow or a purplish glow, I
think would be great. But anyway,
let's go back to what we were starting.
I suppose that's a thing too, as well. If you think about, Hasbro, and they sort of bring back the Kenner line again, the nostalgic feels, and I suppose Star Wars was really one of the first modern brands to bring back a lot of their vintage style packaging and figures. Of course, when they re-release the toys, they just re-release the molds for a lot of the spaceships.
Oh, I know,
things like that. But of course, now we've got the vintage collection and things like that. So if you still want a bit of nostalgia, but are looking for, a modern toy, we've got some here that might suit your needs.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I might go first. Oh, is that all right? If
Yeah.
So I suppose one thing that that I think that people like to get their nostalgia hit with, it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's probably cheaper in America, I'm sure, as most things are. But is the Funko Pop. And you can get Funko Pops for a lot of modern things, modern movies and TV shows and music and things like that. But the good thing is they're catering to a lot of nostalgic, our age collectors with a variety of different Funko Pops from classic movies and TV. And so I've just brought one out that I've got here, which is one of my new favorites, which is Thomas Magnum.
Nice. Look at that. I thought it was Freddie Mercury at first, but now I can see it's Thomas Magnum.
And I'll see if there he is.
Now, do they have everybody else on the show or just him?
No, unfortunately, no TC or Rick or Higgins. But so like in Australia, Funko Pops are about $18 each.
Okay.
So I think maybe, what are they, about $10 in America?
No, I have some here. You can get them as low as about $8 to about 10 or 12, depending on what it is. Yeah.
So it's great.
That's cool. That's new, huh?
Yeah. So that's just been released. And of course, if you can, pretty much any TV show, if it has some sort of cult following, you'll be able to find it pretty easily. Unfortunately, that doesn't really go for Indiana Jones because, we know that I always lament, you can get Golden Girls, you can get Valerian figures like you couldn't believe, but you can't get really Indiana Jones Funko Pops.
I bet we were supposed to have Indiana Jones 5 this next year, but now it's delayed another year because of the COVID crisis. But I believe they'll probably come out with Indiana Jones then. But on the subject of Funko and retro and something we were just talking about, and I'm doing the Ford finger.
You are. It's Ford Friday where you are, so that's okay.
Yeah, it is. Ready? We should do the orange lights right now. It's the Funko Han and Carbonite.
Oh, nice.
And what's creepy about this is, how there's a bobble head?
Yeah.
It's kind of a bobble face. I don't know if we can see it, but his face is on a small spring, and it's detached from the rest of the Carbonite block. So when you shake it, the face moves. So it is kind of a bobblehead, but a bobble face more like
That's awesome. It's a shame when you shake it, it doesn't glow red. That would be kind of cool.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too. But anyway, there it is. And they did come out with some other ones too from The Empire Strikes Back. But Han and Carbonite, like I said, that's a small niche that I've collected for years. I've got little Han and Carbonites. I've got, Lego versions of it. But when I saw that at the store, I was like, oh, God, I got to get that for the collection because it's just goofy. And again, it's a modern day collectible, and it's got the Star Wars 40th anniversary for Empire Strikes Back.
Fantastic.
But it's Funko, and it was only about $8. So this was at Walmart. So there you go.
And
that's my first retro collectible.
That's good. And I suppose the good thing about Funko Pops is that they're pretty easy to find. So if you're,
well, it depends on which character.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But I mean, I'm lucky. I said to you, offline, we've got a vintage retro store, and across from in this sort of like warehouse area.
Yeah.
And across the road from us is Pop Culture, which is the Australian distributor of Funko Pop. So
nice.
You can go in there, and they've got, they've got a high-end gallery where, you've got all the large life-size, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah. I see those statues at the shows.
They've got a Han in Carbonite for like $5,000 and things like that. And they've got.
Is it this Funko Pop one?
No. This is that must be a. Boy, was it Masters Replicas? It's probably a few years old.
Talking about the more realistic thing. Oh, when you said Pop, I thought it was like a Funko Pop distributor or something.
No, they do have actually a life-size, the life-size Kenner Darth Vader though. From 1978.
I've seen that. Yeah,
they've got those. They've got all those sort of things, and they've got Funko Pops like you'd not believe.
The miles and miles.
Yeah, so which is great. So they're easy to find.
What's the next thing you got?
All right. I'm gonna go. Excuse me. I'm gonna go Star Wars. Okay, and we spoke a little bit about the resurgence of, I suppose, you know, the old packaging, vintage packaging, because it's something about seeing the packaging on the shelves that, you know, takes me back to 1978. So I've actually got some here that one that I got from you actually, but I'll show a few of them, which is, of course, the Black Series 12-inch.
Yeah, that's
versions.
R5D4. Yeah.
Yep, which is great on the card back. That's for the. It's a bit hard to see, but it is a bit hard to see.
No, he was part of the original Hasbro series, right?
He was on the 21 backs, so he came out. With
okay.
They're there. So you've got him. This is a favorite of mine as well, which is Darth.
Nice, yeah.
And this one came on the display stand set that you could. That you can make the. And it was on clearance for in Australia. It certainly was, but
it looked like the early bird thing, right?
Yes. So which is great. So again, you know, if you want a bit of nostalgia and, you know, to display or to open, they're fantastic. And I suppose linked, what I'm going to do a bit of a twofer. Linked with those are, of course, you know, what made Star Wars famous, the 3 3/4 figures. And now this one is 10 years old, but they're obviously doing them now, where the retro collection, where they got the vintage style. But this one is my that's a rocket firing Boba Fett. Okay, there he is.
Is that the new one with the Empire logo? Oh, okay.
No. So this one was from 2010. You can
Yeah. Okay.
But it actually has a rocket. There you go. There's the rocket.
The new one that's hard to find is, again, a Walmart exclusive. They've redone those in the 3 3/4 with that vintage packaging. So,
with the Empire, yes. So I've got one of those on. I ordered those. One of those. But you can find those. They're bringing out, of course, the Empire Strikes Back one.
You can find them. I can't find them here. But you know what's funny? On the packaging, they've done weathering on it, so it looks like it's old. It'll have creases and folds. I mean, I get it because they want to distinguish it from the original one, but in a weird way, it kind of takes away a little bit. But
yes. So so they're, you know, pretty reasonable. I know that you can find a lot of the other figures apart from Boba Fett for quite you know, they're not too how much are they, Mitch, roughly, those figures?
The Black Series figures?
No, the retro collection ones.
Oh, the retro ones, if you can find them, are about $9 or $10.
Okay, I think I spent $35 on my
Boba
Fett. Yeah, on Boba Fett.
Wow, you got to move, man. I don't know. Well, speaking of that, since it is the 40th anniversary, and I don't want people to think this is an Empire Strikes Back show.
You can watch our Empire Strikes Back 2 episodes before.
I along the same lines as you, they've done a retro version of this, but the reason why I wanted to pull this one out is because they had Yoda. Now, I'm like a big Yoda collector, and I have a lot of Yoda stuff. But the thing of it is, I would have really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Is if they made it look like the old Kenner figure with the orange and brown snake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool that it's like a card, but this is more what they call the Black Series. And you know, and I would have liked if they made the back of it look like the old-fashioned card with all the different figures on it. But I don't know. It is what it is.
I never understood why they included the lightsaber with him.
Oh, yeah, he does have that. I never noticed that.
Because really, he didn't have it in Dagobah, did
he?
Or unless he had it under his pillow, you know, somewhere. I don't know. But I agree. They could have. Now, didn't they release a Boba Fett in the holiday? Holiday special colors.
The colors,
And I do remember they released also a Darth Vader, a large scale Darth Vader, one of those ones that you could buy, you know, at the supermarket and toy shops, as the comic book colors. So they I have those somewhere here. Yeah, it was based on the Howard Shake and Roy Thomas comic book. Yeah,
and they were called the comic 2-packs because Darth Vader was actually his mask was colored green for some reason.
That's right.
And then the Stormtrooper outfits were blue. I think it was just a printing error, but they actually made those figures. They're here somewhere in the house, but
because they could have added just an orange snake, or I know he does come with a brown snake as well, but they could have included that, you know, or put the real snake, as a extra, accessory. And I think that would have looked kind of good because,
Well, the funny thing is you mentioned that, and they have those new collectibles out there. I told you they're at Walmart, and you're trying to get that Boba Fett one. But
yes,
yeah, I would have I don't know, maybe it's because I'm old, but I just like those a lot better than the Black Series. The Black Series are cool. Don't get me wrong. They're more articulated, the more detailed, but they're about $20, so it is what it is.
Again, but $38 in Australia.
I know. Well, they've also adapted that. This is new, but it looks like old. This is the Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi, but he's done on a card to make it look like he's from the Retro Collection.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, so that, and again, this was plentiful, though it doesn't look like Mark Hamill. If you look at it, it looks more like a weird, I don't know, Kenny Rogers or a country singer type of thing, or maybe Jesus. I don't know.
And a little bit of Ewan McGregor, I think, thrown in there. It's a bit, looking through the camera there. So
it's weird. I never noticed it before, but he has two different lightsabers. He has the traditional Luke Skywalker lightsaber from A New Hope, and then there's another one that has a different thing. I don't know what that is. Well, who knows? I digress. But that's one that's based on. It's a new toy, but it's based to look like an old toy. So there's that. So
all right, that's good. Let me move.
I think that's it for the Star Wars, right?
I've got 2 more Star Wars coming up. Oh well, 1 more Star Wars really, but I'll go to one thing that for modern collectors that is really good is the Hasbro, not the Hasbro, the Hallmark figures.
Yes.
I'll see if I can get that to focus a little bit more on him. He's a little bit bright. Now I can't. This is I was so excited when I saw these. I got Alexander. Shout out to Alexander in Hawaii because I knew I was going to visit. And I said, could you get one from the Hallmark store there? Because I love that shop. We don't have Hallmark stores.
I did get one from the Hallmark store, yeah.
And he got one for me. And then I actually found them here in Australia. But
oh, really?
Yep. And then we were lucky. We went to the Hallmark.
Don't tell me it was $35 there, too.
Well, it was probably something like that, yes. But that's okay.
Well, no, I'm just asking. They don't have Hallmark distribers in Australia?
In Target in Australia, they usually sell them at Target, but there's no we nowhere near the volume that that you have there. So so when we went to the Hallmark store in Ala Moana earlier this year, they were clearing out all of these for like $4 each. So I got soups, which actually I'll play just a bit. That's all I can play. Otherwise, we'll get a content warning.
Yeah, we don't want the John Williams people to get
That's right. That's right. I got Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters. There was Luke, the Binary Sunset. I get my Snoopy. Right. There's all. I remember my fantastic $6 Million Man one that you sent me. So there's really. I mean, they're really looking after retro lovers by.
And I just told you before we started. I just got the catalog in the mail today for the Hallmark, and it's got Star Trek in it, and it's got Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary stuff. So, the market they're going for.
Yeah, which is
anyway,
great.
This one's space, but it's not one that we know. In fact, when I said earlier that we talk about collectibles from before we were born, I never know why they put this out, but I saw it, and I said, I got to have that. That is a Robbie the Robot from The Forbidden Planet, which was a movie that came out from MGM in the early 50s, starring Leslie Nielsen, of all people. Yes. But this is a robot that you saw growing up everywhere. This was Lost in Space. This guy even had his own movie. He was so popular. There's a Robbie the Robot movie. Yep. And the best thing is...
Wasn't he also in in Gremlins, I think?
He was, but he talks.
Welcome to Altair Board, gentlemen.
That's cool.
I am to transport you to the residence.
And the head lights up, and it's got a...
For your convenience, I am monitored to respond to the name Robbie.
That's pretty cool.
That's that. Yeah, and the weird thing is about it, the packaging's cool, and it's set up to look like something from Forbidden Planet. And it says he's got light-up gears. He walks. This actually walks and talks, too. When you take it out of the box, it walks along the ground. and it's got cosmically cool sound effects, collector quality.
It's got you broke up a little bit. What was that? Cosmically cool what?
Cosmically cool sound effects.
Oh, good.
Collector's quality styling. But the weird thing is it says disintegrator pistol. None of these come with a pistol. I've talked to 2 other people I know that own them. I've gone on eBay. I've looked around. There is no pistol in this thing. I don't know if they had to take it out, or they planned on doing it, or maybe somebody complained, or maybe it just got lost. There is no pistol on this Robbie the Robot toy, but it doesn't take away from the fact for $19 you get a toy that walks, talks, and lights up.
Yep.
And that is damn cool.
I think that's great.
And they also made one of the Iron Giant as well.
Oh, yes.
So there's a big Iron Giant, but I'm not a big Iron Giant fan like I am with this guy, but he's there. That's cool. So that's my new modern day toy based on a collectible from long ago.
That's great. That's really good. And are they're readily available?
At Walmart's, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's good. That's great. My next one.
I can see his eyes going, ooh, I think I need that.
No, well, there's so much I need. And I was thinking back.
You got to build a tunnel from Connecticut to Australia to help the shipping on this stuff, because it gets there.
That's all right. I might have to go there and quarantine with you for 2 weeks, and I'll just be out.
Yeah, there you go.
So that would be good. Actually, I was thinking, on an aside, my travels to Walmart. One thing that I don't think I've got one here, but what they did have, actually, speaking of that, you can just see there I forgot I even had these. My other Funko Pops, which is my glow-in-the-dark. Oh, no, this is my MacGyver.
Oh, I didn't know they even made him.
Yeah, and my Tron.
Oh, they made Tron. Well, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
You mentioned that, and I know I just went, but at Walgreens, which is a pharmacy that's across the country here, do they have those in Australia?
No, but I've spent a lot of time in there in New York. We'd often go by them. Yeah.
Okay, well, out of nowhere, I was there, and they have a little toy section. In fact, that's where they sell most of the Funko Pops nowadays around here. They have their own exclusives. They had a whole line of Disney, about 6-inch collectible figures, and it was based on Disney movies. They had Maximilian from the Black Hole. They had Tron. They had the Nightmare Before Christmas fella. They had the one I'm going to show you next, and there's another figure, but I don't know what it was about Disney. They just decided that they were going to release these figures, and they're about 6 inches. They're highly articulated, and I can't find that one here, but the one I have, I'm going to jump ahead.
Yeah.
It's based on one of my other favorite movies, is The Rocketeer.
Yes.
Now, this is the Diamond Toys one, Diamond Distributors, but basically it's the same figure that's at the Walgreens.
Yes.
And it's, you can move them around. It's got Cliff Secord. It's got the rocket pack. It comes with a blueprints of the rocket pack and then some fire that you could assemble it.
Oh, nice.
It looks like that.
That's great.
And this one is also the same one that's over at Walgreens, except the packaging is a little smaller. So again, I don't know what that was about, but this is a modern day toy based on a 30-year-old movie almost in about a year or so. The Rocketeer will be 30 years old next year. That's right,
1991, wasn't it? So
yeah. So that's Robbie the Robot and the Rocketeer. 2 things I didn't even expect that I needed, not wanted, needed, and I have. So.
How much are those figures roughly?
Again, about I think I'm gonna say $16.
That's really good. I have seen
the Maximilian. Again, I'm not a big Black Hole fan, but I know my friend Scott Martin saw it too, and he even took a picture of it and sent it over. It's just, how many Black Hole toys are there? I mean, I know they did.
They did bring out the original ones, and I did see a review of Maximilian and Vincent. I think, do you get Vincent and Old Bob in the same set?
Maybe, yeah. It just jumped out at me because I don't think anyone's buying them. I mean, literally, I think I can get in the car now and drive 10 minutes up the street, and they're still sitting on the shelves because no one's coming to the store saying, I got to have that Maximilian figure.
Well, if you ever, once things quieten down and they're on clearance, I'd be happy to take one of those home with me.
Take one off my hands. All right.
That's right. So that's good. Well,
okay, you go ahead. I jumped the gun and did 2 toys.
Okay. So, it's a little bit Star Wars centric. It's just the way it is, and that's probably the way we are. But what they've recently brought out, and we were saying about these board games.
Oh yeah, the board games.
Now you know, you were talking about the
weathering,
the weathering here and things like that. I've got to say, now I've got the original of this sitting.
Mine's over there, but the box is destroyed. Yeah, I have mine.
Mine is shrink wrapped from 1977. Okay, so
wow.
yes, so that's why the main reason I bought this was to, you know, play it, because I remember playing it. It is pretty identical. The box is
I don't think there's any different, except that comes with a Governor Tarkin figure.
Yes,
right?
It does come with Governor Tarkin, which I opened because I want him to go. He fits in my Star Wars vinyl collector case and looks.
Now, is he made to look like the 70s figures with the 5 points of articulation?
Hang on, let me just. Oh, there was almost a disaster. Hold up. All right.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
So there's my collector's case. Let me just bring out here. So there's my first.
Yeah, the tray
there with my figures. Okay, I'll just move my Vegemite sandwich.
As all kids know, they never came out with a Governor Tarkin based on Peter Cushing back in the 70s.
But here is now. One thing with these new figures, they don't tend to hold their weapons very well. But
yeah,
here is Governor.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Tarkin.
Oh yeah, look at that. It looks just like Peter Cushing, or that weird CGI version of him from Rogue One.
Just trying. I might get a image of him. I think we'll.
Yeah.
Just to focus.
There's a bit of a glare on him, but that's cool. Again, and that board game, I think the board game was only like $20, so the figure alone is like $10.
Yeah.
Now here's a question for you, Mr. Vintage Collectible Toy Man.
Yes.
What's to stop you from taking pieces from that new one and finding a vintage 77 game and putting it in there and saying it's original? Because I have my original one right there, but the box is just trashed.
Well, I can tell you that there is printing on that makes it look a little bit different.
Well, is there any like trademarks that say 2000?
Yeah, so you can see I haven't opened this one yet, which looks fantastic. But on the bottom here, it's a bit hard to read, but you can see, you might be able to see, it says 2018.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll do it. Yeah.
But look, it's fantastic. And on with that is, I did get this one as well.
Oh, hey, could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Could you hand me that one?
Sure.
Yeah, just put it over there. I'll pick it up.
Okay. There you go.
Oh, wow. Look at that. You're right. That's really cool, Ed. Now, what did you find this one, Ed?
Well, I bought these both.
Here, I'll give it back to you. Here, it's your,
okay.
Your toy. Hold on. Here, take it back.
Oh, thanks. Got it here. Now, the one thing I've got to say is that look, I'm pretty up with Star Wars collectibles, but I didn't even see this when it originally came out and didn't really.
I didn't know
about it.
You're talking back in the 80s, right?
Yeah. This was from 80.
No, I'm saying I never knew they had a board game.
Well, there's another one where you're it's the flight to, is it the flight to Dagobah? There was a Yoda Dagobah game, and there was a X-Wing sort of, I think it might have been like maybe 1980 it came out, where you're flying your X-Wing. I'll dig it out, or I'll take a photo.
You're not talking about that little computer game where you're supposed to be shooting like Star Command.
No. This is
an
like
Empire
a
Strikes Back
board game. Yeah. So they had one. It was still labeled Star Wars, but I think it came out like 1980. And then
I know the Dagobah one you're talking about, because I could picture the painting on the cover of the box, and it has Luke. I think he's like with his legs folded in front of Yoda.
I think so. And wasn't
there
was an R2-D2 game as well, The Adventures of R2-D2. Now I'm not sure if that was based on Dagobah. Or is that anyway? We'll.
Well, anyway, but that box we were talking about, that one there, the figure that comes with that, is it Luke in X-Wing, or is it?
It's Luke in his snowspeeder. So I I took him out as well because he looked like he should be with his,
His buddies.
his buddies, basically. In the
Now, the
Empire
only
Strikes
difference
Back.
between that Luke and X-Wing and the Luke and the Snowspeeder, if I recall, is just the collar, right? He has like a puffier collar that protects him from the cold.
So
That's fine.
There's
Yeah, that's X-Wing
there's
Luke.
there.
And now what does
Okay.
Snowspeeder Luke look like?
Okay.
Well, besides the colors being so bright, so he's got a little like chest plate thing going on,
So, yep. So
and he's got big white gloves.
he's got the gloves. He's also
Yeah.
got the collar.
Yeah, the collar. I remember the collar being higher. Yeah.
So and he comes with his
A grappling gun.
grappling gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny with this, going back to this. I never. There we go. That's a bit better. My original Luke, I thought, why did they paint his hair brown? And only years later, I realized that they're supposed to be not his hair, but
That's the visor.
it's the visor. Why didn't they
Right,
paint
yeah, I
it
knew that.
orange? They should have painted it orange.
Oh no.
But yeah. So there's the two there. Anyway.
Well, that's cool.
So that board game's really good fun. I can't find anything now. Everything's all over the
Oh.
place, but that's okay.
What else do you? Is that it?
So the last thing I've got is for a little bit of a nostalgia hit is Mego. And if you grew up in the 70s, certainly in America, Mego was huge. Planet of the Apes, Monsters. They did Space 1999. They did
everything. Every
Chips.
license you can imagine. Star Trek.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, they've been re-releasing Mego-like figures, and I've got a fantastic Fonzie, which I've shown on.
I just saw the other day Charlie's Angels on the clearance bin.
Oh.
They had Kelly,
Yes.
Garrett, Sabrina, and I didn't see the Farrah Fawcett, though I do know the Farrah Fawcett came out last year.
Yes.
But they didn't sell well, Ed.
No. Well, I think that we saw the Charlie's Angels ones when we were there, and I think the originals look much better. And I think they look much better. The Fonzie's fantastic, but they've also been bringing out superheroes, and this is my.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So again, they've got that 70s look.
Yeah.
And these are quite big. They're 14-inch, so they're quite different. So I've got General Zod over there.
Now, did they do a 12-inch Superman back in the 70s?
So they did bring out one, which looked like, I suppose, a little bit more like this, a sort of a generic Superman. He actually looks better out of the packet than he does in. And then when Superman the movie came out, they brought out a more Christopher Reeve-like sculpt that sort of fitted a little bit better. And that's hard to, that's the one I wouldn't mind getting eventually. And they also brought out Lex Luthor, and they brought out, actually, hang on a second. I'll show Zod, because if you look at Zod here.
Yeah, it's not Zod it's not Terrence Stamp.
But it's sort of, hold on, there we go. It's sort of
That's
Terrence
more
Stamp.
comic book based. Yeah.
So the outfit is comic book based, but the face looks like, if you look at, there we go. Hang on, let's see if I can get that there. So you can see that's more the comic book, but the actual figure is more Terrence Stamp. So
yeah.
So, they're still available, and they make all, the different larger style superheroes and everything.
Again, just before Christmas, or I think right around Christmas time, they were blowing those things out like crazy. Yep. I think they were like $10 each or something like that. There was Batman, Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern. I didn't get anything because my problem with that is the head just seems a little smaller than the body. I don't know why. It's not in proportion, but
again, I would say that in the packet they look a little bit weird, but when they're out, they actually look all right. So
they do? Okay.
Yeah, so it's worth if they're worth collecting, and they've got a bit of that retro feel about them, which is kind of cool.
Well, the last thing I have is it's kind of, well, look, The Mandalorian's a huge hit, but it's based on Star Wars, and the reason why I think it's doing so well is because it's that retro feel to it that makes it feel like it's right from the George Lucas 1970s, 80s Star Wars universe. It's not that prequel stuff. It's not the modern Force Awakens stuff. It's more gritty Star Wars. And the breakout star, as we know, that we've used several times to get ratings, is our friend Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Now, we all know you can't have enough Baby Yoda in your life. And again, this is a new toy, but it's really kind of based on an old thing. Because again, he's based on Yoda, which is 40 years old, and we don't know. So again, if you can find it, this is a new toy. It's very small. It's about the size of a matchbox. And that is the child, as they call him there. And that's our Baby Yoda. And there you go. I mean, I don't know where you would even find this. Talk about something you could easily shoplift. Not that we're recommending people steal.
Well,
but you can get this in your pocket. You can also get this one in your pants. Now, this here is a giant Funko Baby Yoda. And
he's almost life-size.
He's full size. I think he's life-size.
Yes.
So, there we go. He's just called the child. He's there. And on the back, you can see some of the other things available.
Yeah.
Craziness right there.
I like his hand out like that.
His hand is out. He's doing the little force magic stuff.
Yeah.
But that's our Baby Yoda. The thing of it is, you don't realize how scary his eyes are until you see him up close, that he has no eyes.
Yeah.
You know, they're just big orbs. But he's a bobblehead. And it's, again, a giant version of the little guy, which is right there.
Yeah.
Which is this guy here. So they just put him in the enlarge array, and they zapped him.
Right.
So that's my last collectible. Again, it's not a vintage toy, but it's, I don't know. Do you think Baby Yoda is going to stand the test of time, and 20 years from now, people will be going nuts about Baby Yoda?
I think so. I mean, look, he's a bit of a cultural phenomenon, I think.
He is.
Baby Yoda. And, you know, with season 2 on the way in October, I think he'll only grow in stature. He probably will anyway, you know, a little bit, because that's how Yoda's age. So that's pretty cool. So, and I picked up that the Black Series. Yes. For $14 or $17, I think it was here in Australia.
It was $9 here.
Yeah. They were supposed to have it at Big W here, but apparently it was a shipment got lost at sea. But you can find them in Kmart, or they had a tray full of them, which was kind of good. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, in both Kmarts we went to and going, oh, okay, well,
oh wow.
But some of those accessories, I was saying to Dan Z actually, those accessories like the little gear shift knob that is. I mean, it's great that they've included.
They won't get lost in a second, will they?
That's right. Definitely not. Even though it's the child, it's not the child friendly. I don't think
it's not child proof.
No. So
hey, real quick about collectibles before we sign off. I just saw today that because of the quarantine and a lot of shops shut down, Disneyland is making a lot of the Disney products that you could only get at Galaxy's Edge, the Disney themed area down in Florida and Disneyland in California. They're going to make those available at Target in the coming months, because they have so much merchandise. They need to move some of it.
Yeah. And
the parks aren't open to full capacity right now. So there's going to be a Smuggler's Run Millennium Falcon for $399. I don't know what that is, but that's going to be available at Target. And the fella, I can't think of his name, from the Clone Wars, I can see it, but I can't say it. The bad guy, the pirate guy.
Mondo, not Mondo.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Hang on. Yeah.
Anaka.
Yes.
Hondo Anaka. They're a lot of the figures that you can get only at the Disney parks are going to be making their way to Target. They just announced that today. So
okay, I think
that's
a
something
great
else
idea
to look forward to. Yeah,
I wonder if that Smuggler's Run Millennium Falcon would be like the big Millennium Falcon, if that's going to be a Hasbro based one, or is it going to be like their own offshoot? But it's
I don't know,
some sort of interactivity, I guess, if it's
That's a lot more money than the BMF was years ago, the big Millennium Falcon.
That's right. So, oh, cool. So I suppose ultimately there's lots of retro collectibles out there. And you can.
We just scratched the surface.
Oh my gosh,
there's
yes,
a lot more. And again, if you were into more comic books like Marvel, there's a lot of stuff out there from Spider-Man and the Hulk and all that stuff. You know what I'm looking for? Speaking of Funko and Target, they just came out this week with Backlight Funko Marvel characters based on the 70s. So they're basically the Funko figures, but they're painted to look like Backlight things. There's a Backlight poster, there's Backlight baseball caps, there's Backlight backpacks, socks, everything that 70s, late 60s psychedelia stuff. And they came out with Doctor Strange, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. So I'll be looking for the Captain America one to add to my collection of Cap Funkos. But again, it's a retro crazy mashup. I mean, Backlight Funko figures.
Well, if I find one, I'm heading down to our shop tomorrow. If I see one there, I'll pick it up for you. So
of course you'll have to pay $60 for something that costs $10, but that's another story.
That's all right. But
anyway.
but for you, remember, it's all relative because
it's all right. It's only dirty pieces of paper anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, before we sign off, remember the subscribe button's down there.
Yeah,
if you want to see me kill myself live on camera by eating this box of retro Batman cereal. And this week it was announced Michael Keaton will be back as Batman. So when that movie opens up, I might just eat that cereal then. So either we get the 1,000 subscribers first, or I have to wait till Batman comes back on the big screen. You decide how I'm going to eat this.
And remember, I'll eat my Kingdom of the Crystal Skull sealed cereal from 2008 once we reach 100 subscribers.
We're getting close to that one.
That's right. Click on the subscribe button. That is right down there. It would be great. Thank you also so much for everyone who has commented on past episodes and watched the show. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, we've got our previous Raiders Lost Ark special. We've got talking about Empire Strikes Back collectibles, pop culture in general. If you enjoy the show, tell your friends, and we'll keep doing this because we always enjoy talking collectibles and pop culture.
We do.
Well, that's it for another episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. We'll be back in another 2 weeks. What are we going to be talking about? Who knows? Maybe if you're interested in the topic. Hold on. Oh no! I've just destroyed all my vintage Star Wars stuff. Hello. Yep.
Aren't we going to do Flash Gordon? Aren't we going to do Flash Gordon soon?
We are going to be doing Flash Gordon soon. That's a definite. We've got we're going to be looking at Superman as well. We're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. We've got a whole stack of things. But if there's something in particular you want to us to talk about, then write a comment and we'd be happy to think about it. So that's it for this week's episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. I'm Ed Dollister.
I'm Mitch Halleck.
And we'll see you next time.